guys, I am Pixel Dan, and today we're going to be checking out the Masters of the Universe Origins Deluxe Thunder Punch He-Man Heroic Leader with a Power Punch. It's one of those classic variants from the vintage toy line brought to life in Origins style. I'm actually really excited about this one. So as you can see, on that deluxe packaging, but he's part of that new Rise of the Snake Men refresh for 2023. So we've got the Snake Men logo and the scales across the top, but we've also got this gorgeous artwork of Thunder Punch He-Man up there. Like we usually see on the deluxe card backs, we get that extra little bit of art. I love it. And then down below that, you can see we got scales on the blister bubble there housing the figure within. You can see his accessories over here. Also a call out that says, "Pow! He-Man delivers a thunderous punch." I can't wait to see how they pulled that off with this figure. As we rotate around to the backside, you can see we've got a cross-cell showing all of our figures from the Snake Men wave. We've also got an action feature call out here that shows you how his power punch works. And then we've got the continued gorgeous artwork that Origins has been delivering us. This one is amazing because Thunder Punch He-Man is doing battle with these snake troopers. They're like horde trooper bodies with snake heads. These were unreleased figures from the vintage toy line. They were going to come out in the original line. It's part of this whole lost wave that never happened. We did get these in the classics line, but man, I hope this means we're going to get these in Origins because it would be really cool to get these in the proper vintage styling since they were never released in the original line. I think that is awesome. So, amazing packaging aside, let's go ahead and get Thunder Punch He-Man opened up and we will get a closer look at him. All right, we've got Thunder Punch He-Man outside of the packaging. Of course, bringing in that tape measure so you can see, as always, the figure is shy of a full 6 inches tall. And this is in the deluxe assortment. And if you remember that the original Thunder Punch He-Man, the whole gimmick with it was that you would take ring caps, like the same type of ring caps from the old cap guns, and you would put those in his backpack, and then when you did the power punch action feature, the cap would pop, which is what gave him his Thunder Punch. It was an incredibly cool action feature. It was a lot of fun, but as you can assume, that has been removed from the Origins version of the character. So what we've got going on here is we do just now have the standard Origins body. One of the things with the vintage one was that his body was a bit more beefed up and oversized because they had to fit that mechanism inside for the cap popping feature, and the armor was all part of the sculpt on the vintage one. So you could not remove the armor or the backpack. On this one, we just have the standard body with a removable armor piece on here. So you can actually remove the armor this time around. You can see they still designed the back to look like the backpack from the original, but it is just hollowed out. They got all these holes here, but it's hollowed out. There's nothing on the inside. You can't open this up like on the vintage one. But he looks leaner than the vintage one because he's on the standard body. So this is actually pretty cool because he does fit in more with the other figures in your Origins line now. But there are some differences going on here because, crazy enough, Mattel did still work in an action feature with this guy. So you'll notice his right hand has got the punching fist, just like on the vintage one. And what they did on this is they worked in that classic power punch action feature. You know what I'm talking about, right? Most of the vintage figures had that waist twisting motion where you would twist the waist and they would spring back for a power punch. But with this guy, check this out. When we twist his waist, when we let it go, he flings forward and it makes a popping noise. So that is how we've pulled off the Thunder Punch. And honestly, this is pretty fun. It works really well, and while it's never going to come close to the sound or the feeling of those old caps popping off, making that firing noise, this is still a really cool feature that works really well, and it's oddly satisfying. I love that quite a bit. Now, because they worked in that feature, there are some differences here than our typical Origins figures. For example, you cannot remove this guy at the waist anymore. You also cannot remove the arms from the torso. These are permanently attached. You can still remove the head from the ball joint if you want to. And the hands are still removable. Now this is kind of cool because you'll notice that this figure does have one open gripping hand on the left, and then of course his closed punching fist on the right. It's exactly like the vintage figure. He did not come with any interchangeable hands, which I will say is a bit of a bummer because he's got two accessories, a sword and the shield, and he'll never be able to hold both of them, or at least one in each hand, because he's got this punching fist. Again, just like the vintage. That was the same thing the vintage one had a problem with. So I kind of wish he came with a swappable gripping hand. He did not, but you can remove this fist. So if you do have other swappable hands laying around from some of the other deluxe figures, you can always swap in a gripping hand on your own, and that way he can hold both the sword and the shield. So that is pretty cool stuff. Otherwise, the figure articulates exactly like you would expect, even though he has that action feature. The only main difference is that the waist turn is going to have that spring effect. So he's always going to bounce back forward, and if you go far enough, you get that popping sound. So that's what's going on with that. Figure looks great. The colors are bright and vibrant and clean. The face looks really good on this particular figure. So all in all, I love his overall look. And let's go ahead and bring in those accessories that I was talking about, because he does have that crazy looking shield that we got on the vintage toy, and it is vac metalized. So it's very, very shiny, really, really cool looking. And he's got a gold version of the power sword. So just like on the vintage. Now the vintage one had a bit of a translucent yellow look to it. This one is just molded in a solid gold, so it does differ a little bit from the vintage. So of course, as I mentioned, obviously he's got a fist on this hand, so you can't hold both the sword and the shield at the same time, but what you can do is, just like on the vintage one, he can hold onto the shield, and then you can store the sword through this little handle here on the outside. Now, one of the things that the vintage one also had was a spot in here to store an extra ring cap, and that has obviously been removed from this, so we don't get any fake ring caps or anything like that with this He-Man. But the fact that they still left the storage spot for the sword is pretty cool. So you can pose him like this, or you can have him with just the shield or just the sword, unless you're going to do your own part swapping with some of your extra hands at home. But really fun. I love the inclusion of the funny shield. I love that it's still vac metal and shiny, so really, really fun stuff. Now, there is one other extra accessory that was not included with the vintage, and that is this really cool burst effect. So this is meant to fit over He-Man's fist, which is a really cool way to visualize his Thunder Punch. And this is one effect that I really, really like. It looks really good. I love how it's kind of streaming here to make it look as though he's swinging that punch. It's a really cool effect. It fits really well on the hand, and I like this quite a bit. I can actually see myself posing him on the shelf just like this to make it look like he's utilizing that Thunder Punch. So no extra hand, but that little blast effect there, super cool stuff. All right, guys, it's comparison time. Let's go ahead and stand him alongside that vintage Thunder Punch He-Man that I've talked about so much in this video, so you can see these two standing side by side there, and you could really see what I'm talking about with the difference in the body. That vintage one is so puffy because it had to have that mechanism inside, so this one leans him out a little bit, makes him fit in with the rest of the He-Man figures in the line. And there you go, my friends. That is a look at Thunder Punch He-Man from the Masters of the Universe Origins line. I really like this one. This is one of those figures where I'm glad that they included an action feature of sorts, just because it's so much fun. And it's really easy, like if you want to have a figure without the action feature, since the armor is removable, you can always swap this over to a basic He-Man body. The only thing you're going to be lacking is the red wrist bracer, since the arms aren't removable, but you could still make a Thunder Punch He-Man without that spring-loaded waist, if that's something you want to do. But I love it. I think it's awesome. And it's really cool seeing, like, we've had so many variants in this line of He-Man, but talking strictly about the vintage variants, we're only missing Laser Power He-Man now. So we are really flying through these. It's pretty cool stuff. So he is the latest deluxe wave shipping right now with King Hiss. These are starting to show up at Target stores. I got mine through BigBadToyStore.com. So happy hunting, my friends, and until next time.